Hello, my friends. I'm just going to go for it. I've been searching for the right video programs, but I'm not sure I'm there yet. Peace and cheers, love and harmony. You got gourd. You're hurting hippie. It is Monday, Easter Monday, so I'm a day late in getting this out, and here we go. I got some great stories for you. It's been a couple of weeks. I hope you had a great Easter, and I hope you bear with me if the video is not as perfect as I'd like it to be, but we are trying. We are trying. Uh, let's hurry and get to the first story because I want to cheers with you after the story. Uh, the first story, brought to you by Marijuana Times, is President Trump and Congress extend protections for the medical marijuana industry. This is actually quite a good story. Let me just let you know that I've talked about the Rohrabacher Farr Amendment, Rohrabacher Lumenauer Amendment. Now it's Rohrabacher Farr has brought an amendment in to the recent Appropriations Act, CAA, Consolidated Appropriations Act, which thereby extended in that huge omnibus bill, extended protections for medical marijuana to near the end of 2018. This goes on to say that because of the wording and because of the increased backing this bill is getting, there's a good chance that even the adult use industry may end up protected under this. This is what I've said it was all along. Doesn't matter how Jeff Sessions screams and yells. Trump is somebody who says he's going to do something. No intention to do it. He wants to stir people up so they go, and he puts his position way over here so that people way over here go, oh my God, no, maybe we better give him some concessions. And then he goes, well, maybe I'll squeeze in a bit, but I'm still going to be. And then they go, well, I'll give you a little bit more. And he ends up in the center where he planned to be all along. He gets people to do things because, well, they want Rohrabacher Farr backed. They better back this. I'm not going to get into a whole political debate, but this just goes to show, as well as it's been 1 year since Jeff Sessions said, I'm coming after the medical marijuana industry. And I said, no, he isn't. It's a ploy. This is proof. Well, it's not a year, but it's a long time. Yeah, it's over a year. Anyways, that deserves a cheers. I have some Godfather OG shatter rosin actually, that I made from Keef from mmjthc.ca. Check them out. Prices just went down. That is a nice tasting thing. Godfather OG, let's move on to the next one. Again about medical marijuana. Most of my show is. Most of it is. This one is medical marijuana access in Arkansas hits another roadblock. And it's a fair read. It is typical for how this industry needs to get on its feet. This one, I'm actually kind of glad it hit this roadblock. I'll read this. Recently, the Arkansas Medical Marijuana Commission finally approved the first 5 facilities that would be licensed to cultivate and dispense marijuana. But shortly after, a lawsuit was filed by one of the denied applicants, citing scoring irregularities, bias, conflict of interest, and violations of the rules. And Judge Wendell Griffin ruled in favor of the applicant. This is a good thing. If there is, I mean, that happened in Canada. Nobody interrupted and said, hey, look, you only got 5 people running the show. And this guy over here, totally prepared and willing, isn't allowed in. I I think in Arkansas, although there's medical people waiting, they need to get moving on this. They need to do it right, or you end up with a system that we have in Canada that will never let the gray market go away because they just don't give free access to the market. Free access to the market, to any market, is important. I am a free marketer. So let's move on. Let's move on. Some more marijuana times. This is Mitch McConnell introducing legalization to legislation to legalize hemp. Finally, finally. But it's really funny. I want to read this part. Of course, not everyone is happy with the re-emergence of hemp as a legal commodity. Our problem is hemp plant is identical in appearance to a marijuana plant. Tommy Loving, head of Kentucky Narcotics Officers Association, told a Courier Journal reporter. In other words, legal hemp farms thwart law enforcement's efforts to find large illegal marijuana farms. The problem is there are several ways to tell these two plants apart. Saying they're identical in nature, more of that crap, but what people don't get is they used to be able to spout this crap and the conversation ended. But now too many people know the difference. And they, first of all, they know and can call bullshit on people making false claims like that. But at the same time, they're less concerned with the fact that it looks like the marijuana plant, since the marijuana plant is also soon to be legalized worldwide. It's really a resurgence. It's a killing of the of all this. Why I lose words. But y'all know what I mean. Let's move on. That was that hit of Shatter. Here's a fun one. Former NFL player Ricky Williams launches a medical cannabis brand. And hey, I'm all for it. Snoop Dogg needs some competition. I think more and more people need to get into craft cannabis, and that enforces what I just said about getting rid of the stigma. Stigma was the word I was looking for. Getting rid of that stigma, the more craft cannabis you get out there, the less the government can sit there and let their cronies get their way, either by blocking through lobbying or by buying into the system like they're trying to do in Arkansas. You know, I can't say for sure that's what happened, but I bet, because it's what happened in Canada. So that's most of the news, and we're going to have a little bit of Black Label OG rosin. Beautiful piece of rosin. Beautiful piece of rosin. Cheers. And please, every one of these stories are below in the description. Love you to read more, call bullshit on something I said, start conversation about something I said. That's what this is all about. The last two stories, the second last story is one that I love covering. If you follow cannabis news or even just general news about drug policy in the last 15 years, then you have likely heard the story of law reform in Portugal. And if you haven't, I'm going to give you a very brief but overarching description of it. They said enjoying drugs is a natural thing. Most of us, there are even daily users of heroin out there that go on about their day and have good days. We have always judged the industry on its far reachers, the people who abuse the drugs, people who abuse marijuana, heroin, cocaine, or opioids, or people who would abuse alcohol or anything else. It's a personality type. And it is a health issue. When controlled as a criminal issue, all you do is create more criminals. But when treated as a health issue, some of it goes away. And that's what Portugal did. They took off the criminal aspect. If they do find somebody abusing, overusing, in whatever way that is a harm to society and or themselves, then that person is referred to health practitioners, who then take on the challenge of correcting his behavior. That's more correct. This is a medical issue, not a criminal issue. It's a medical issue that causes criminality, and it's only criminal because there's laws written inappropriately against them. I'm going to read one more piece from this. There is so much to learn from Portugal that the Drug Policy Alliance recently announced the delegation of activists and victims of the drug war in the U.S. will be visiting the country this week. Over 70 participants will be arriving from New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, North Carolina, and other cities across the country, including reps from more than 35 organizations and several media outlets that have been dedicated to covering the drug war and mass incarceration. I've been calling for, with this opioid problem, a higher visibility, a better knowledge of cannabis and its role in relieving that situation. Needs this kind of thing, and it's moving forward. It's becoming more mainstream. It's becoming more understandable. Let's go there and let's study, because this goes on to tell you that their criminality decreased by like a couple of 100%. Even the amount of overdoses decreased by a lot, an amazing amount. You would think that it would make more druggies if the stigma is accurate, but we all know the stigma is not. And last story. Last story is the fun one. I quite often include a Cannabis 101 from Leafly. This one is, what is THCA and CBDA? Crystalline. I encourage you to read up. I'm still looking for some Crystalline. I wish MMJ carried it, but it is very expensive to make and carry and etc. It is beautiful medicine, wonderful medicine, especially when mixed then with terpene baths, and I think it's the future. The future is isolate all these crystallines, THCA, CBDA, isolate the CBN and the CBC and CBG, isolate the THC, or anyways, and then test how they work with each other, by themselves, with terpenes attached, with lipids attached to remove. You know what I mean? That's the future of this medicine, in it becoming more edible and real rather than, and I'll always still enjoy a good toke. So friends, I'm at the end of episode number 123. 123. You got me. You're hurting hippie. I hope you enjoyed that, except for that joke, because I know it sucked. I really hope you have a good week, a wonderful up and coming weekend, and look for people without smiles. They need yours. Yours is gorgeous.